Day 8 of Detroit Lions training camp is in the books, and while we wait for everything to come out from our usual source, Pride of Detroit, everything that they saw, we have some stuff to talk about. A very busy day in the Detroit Lions media world. Now, shout out to my guy, Detroit Lions Powerhouse, who was at camp today. Shout out to my guy, Let's Talk Lions, and shout out to my guy, Mr. Poole, who makes sure that I have every bit of Detroit Lions information. Anything you guys want to send me, you can DM me at Lions Syndicate if there's anything you want to bring to my attention. But we got to talk about the CJGJ effect. Now, you might be like, well, Derek, what is the CJGJ effect? Well, we saw CJGJ. It's funny if you say his name fast, CJGJ. If we talked about CJGJ and the attitude that he brings to this team, and it's really something that we haven't seen before. Now, I'm not trying to blame him for things that happen at camp, but I think it's like, it's going through the whole campus. These guys are feisty, man. And like any dudes, when it's a bunch of guys, man, some stuff gonna happen. You know what I mean? That's why like every boy band breaks up and stuff like that, because stuff happens, right? Stuff happens behind the scenes, but stuff happens when guys are playing the game of football. It's a very brutal sport, okay? And things are gonna happen, but at the end of the day, it's all love. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Jameson Williams, man, has missed practice for a few days. Practice. We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. He missed it, but he came back today. And I think, not that Jamison was feeling some type of way. I think Jamison, he's a football player. And everything negative that we can kind of focus on with him at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, these guys are football players. Gardner Johnson, football player. Jameson Williams, football player. It's unfortunate what we had to wait and go through with him, but he's a football player. And according to coming out of camp, one of the first things that they were talking about was Jameson Williams, man, kind of getting into it with Starling Thomas, coming from Brad Galley from Channel 7, I believe he is with. Jameson Williams got physical with Starling Thomas after the whistle. He said it's just football. Williams said they got over it and they got through the scuffle quickly. And that is basically, Jameson Williams was a bit frustrated today. He was frustrated today he was dropping some passes. It was his first day back after missing 3 or 4 days. And Starling, the guy we've been hearing about in camp, kind of making a name for himself, possibly making the 53-man roster, I guess was giving it to J-Mo. You know what I'm saying? So, and we heard about this last week about Starling. I think this is the second time. Is this the second time that we've heard about Starling getting into it? Last time it was Jermaine Ifedi, a 300 and something, a guy that weighed more than him by over 150 pounds, and now Jameson Williams. But I don't look at this as a negative. I look at this as these guys are football players and they're trying to get things. This is how it goes. But they hugged it out. They got over it quickly because it's nothing personal at the end of the day. And that's the difference between something that goes on for a long time. But these are guys. This stuff is going to happen, but it's not a big deal. It happens all the time. It's probably some type of skirmish that goes on every day. Some we hear about, some we don't. These are guys playing football. They hit each other for a living. Yeah, somebody frustration gonna boil over, but it's nothing personal. Just as fast as it happened, it was over. But aside from this, Jameson Williams, after a rough start, seems like he kind of got things together and came back. Here's coming from Nick what is this? Gardner? Okay. All right. I think I butchered that, but that's okay. Says Jameson Williams' current status in a nutshell. He cooked, and I do mean cooked. CJ Gardner Johnson in a team red zone period could not have created more space. But the ball went incomplete because he and the quarterback were not on the same page with the route running. Now, I'm sure I absolutely butchered my man's name, but that's okay. Forgive me because, I kind of caught me off guard there. I've never seen a name like that. But CJ Gardner Johnson, coming back from his injury, we just heard from him a few days ago. I think it was Saturday, I believe. And I heard good things from Let's Talk Lions, who was there, that he was just breaking up everything. Shout out to him. He was breaking up everything. But J-Mo, the potential, said cooked, and I absolutely mean cooked, could not have created more space. Can you imagine when we see this in a game. It's going to be unreal. And here's coming from Jeremy Reisman, says, my quick thoughts on on Jameson Williams practice. Definitely a rough start with 2 to 3 drops, individual one-on-ones. Also laid a huge block on a run play. Also put CJ Gardner Johnson in the turnstile with an elite release, but the pass wasn't near him. Now, in the previous tweet, it said the quarterback. It didn't say Goff. But then Jameson Williams said later in an interview that him and Goff are doing fine and they're working it out. So I don't know if it was Jared Goff throwing him the pass, but I find it kind of odd that they said the quarterback and not like specifically Jared Goff. So that makes me believe that it wasn't Goff. But even if it was, this is what practice is for. This is what this whole time period is for, is to shake the kinks out, get the rust off, and get on the same page. That's literally what this is for. The preseason is for. Practice is for. All of this. And Jameson Williams has been doing just that. Ben Johnson told him something that I thought was pretty cool today. He said, no block, no rock. Meaning, if you don't do your job in the run game, blocking for your running back, then we might not call a play for you. And that's fantastic. So this team is going to be ready for a season. We've determined that in year 1, we don't quit, right? In year 2, we also determined we don't quit, which translates into grit. Everybody's saying the same thing about the Detroit Lions, that this is a team that does not go away. We don't go away. We don't lie down. We don't quit. We don't take it. We don't do any of that stuff. Okay? We are going to keep fighting. And the funny thing about this is the kneecap speech is coming full circle. We're getting guys, everybody wanted to make fun of Dan Campbell with the knee. The dude is a walking soundbite, but the kneecap speech, the jokes that we heard from talking about our coach for the first year. That's all. And then we go 13-3-1. But Dan Campbell, these guys, Brad Holmes, Jared Goff, all of them, the entire team is now embodying what their coach is about. That is going to make us a team nobody wants to play coming up this year. So I love it. I love it, man. I love all the aggression. I love this stuff coming out of camp because these guys want to get better. And how do you get better? By playing the best. CJ Gardner Johnson is great at what he does. Jameson Williams was great in college. Starling is fighting for a spot. This is how this thing goes, man. This dude is up against one of potentially the best wide receivers in the game, right? Coming out of the draft in 2022. Dude was undrafted, so he got a chip too. And he's like, yo, I'm trying to make this team. I love it. I love it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Day 8, man, it's going down. It is going down. Let me know if you plan to be at training camp as well. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. Shout out to Let's Talk Lions and Detroit Lions Powerhouse. And as always, go Lions.